What it do, surprise Shawty crew? So I have a few pages worth of like just words that I did intend on releasing to YouTube, but that's not going to be the first one. In my quiet time, because I'm resting, you know, God has just been telling me, like, I be answering all your prayers. And I think, well, for one, the enemy gonna always try to knock us out of the right mindset, having the right perspective, and truly just being able to sit in a place and just be grateful, right? We recognize that. We gotta fight that, right? With where I am. In spite of different things, I am still walking in the midst of so many answered prayers. Like, God literally will flash me back. Like, you remember that night you prayed that? You remember that one time you fell out in worship and surrender and you asked me for that? And I know that he has not even just like answered prayers of like requests, like things I wanted, but even just like breakthrough and relief, because I was holding on to so much concern and worry over different things and people that I had been praying for, interceding for. Like he took away the worry. He brought in reassurance. You get what I'm saying? I had a chance to do it earlier, but I wanted to write in the community post like, hey, write down at least 3 answered prayers that you're walking in right now. 3 answered prayers. And they don't have to be like these big grand things, right? Like how we think and how the enemy wants us to think, like you're not blessed or God hasn't answered these prayers for you because he hasn't done X, Y, and Z, these big grand things, right? So still, I think we should all do that. Write down at least 3 answered prayers you're walking in right now. It could have been something you asked him to stop or prevent years ago. It could have been something you asked him to correct years ago. It could have been something you asked him to do for you or in you, through you years ago. Because where I'm at today is truly answered prayers from a decade plus back. Do you get what I'm saying? But the humility, the wisdom, the grace, okay, he keeps taking me back to Proverbs 3, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, right? In all your ways submit to him and he will direct your paths. And it's crazy because he's been having me reflect on it so much. He took me back to when we were having Bible study on campus, and our pastor at the time, my pastor at the time, like when I was in school, he was teaching us this, and it's like steps. And so God was showing me like, I'm answering your prayer. You just don't see it. And this is going to tie into some of the other words I've written down. If you're praying like, Lord, get me to this point, he's answering your prayer, but he has to take you through the process to get to that point. You might not have to pray that the part where you got to trust him, you might not have to pray that, but you want it to get here, no matter what here is. If it's a house, if it's out of debt, if it's married to the love of your life, being a good mom, if it's being a good dad, if it's being a faithful servant. A faithful servant is an obedient servant. So there are just, look, he been highlighting the spiritual implications too, but there are just things that coincide or things that are prerequisites to get to the thing that you asked him for. And so in our human frailty, we will get upset and not realize like, oh, but I got to actually do this part. I got to go through this part to get to this. If I'm praying, Lord, help me be what this man needs, when he needs it, how he needs it, that's going to be a lot of correcting and humbling on my end. That's going to be a whole lot of, I need your heart for him, God. That's going to be a whole lot of, I need your view towards him, God. But we didn't pray that part, right? A lot of times I can only speak for me, but I know that'd be me. Like, I asked you that this would be the end result, but you got to go through all the other stuff. Okay, that's just one example. The other part is, I was saying how Proverbs 3, it's like steps. So trust in the Lord with all of your heart, right? That's the first step. If you're asking that he direct your paths, straighten your paths, you first have to trust him with all of your heart. Because if you don't trust him with all of your heart, then you are not going to lean on his understanding. You're going to lean on your own because you don't trust him. And because you're leaning on your own understanding, you're not going to submit to him. And if you don't submit to him, he is not going to direct your path, no matter what it is. And so that's going to tie into this other word. Y'all see how it comes together. But it's steps. It really is a process. So Lord, I'm praying that I would be a good wife, and not just a goodly wife, a good wife, a godly wife. Well, I need you to trust me with all your heart. Do you know how hard it is to trust God with all your heart when your heart is hurting? When you have wounds you're trying to ignore? When you have issues and deep-rooted things that have to come up? Do you know how hard it is to fully trust him? It says trust in the Lord with all your heart, not 99.9%. All 100%, not 50%, not just in one area. It says trust in the Lord with all your heart. And so we run from the process. We run from the fact that we got to heal. We run from the fact that we got to actually change, make different decisions. We run from the fact that he has to actually cut and slice and do away with certain mindsets, that he actually has to go in and gut different things out of us and clean our heart. Lord, I just prayed I'd be a good wife, but you're trying to skip steps. You got to heal so you can trust me. And then when you trust me, you're not going to lean on your understanding, because you're still in a place of frailty and hurt in the past and resentment and bitterness. And you're having a really hard time trusting me. And because you can't trust me, you won't lean on me. You won't come into my wisdom and my understanding of it. And because you're not leaning on me, you're not submitting to me. This is going to literally feed into the next word. So I'm going to do the next word. I'm not going to do the one I had, but I'm going to do the one about the wifey team. But I don't know who this is for, because it can be different steps for different people, right? But there are so many different things that play into it. What if you're healed and this, and you're having a hard time trusting his timing? But if you're having a hard time trusting his timing, that's rooted in something. I give you insight. I give you wisdom. I give you knowledge, and you keep that up here. But something we oftentimes say, and I hear, is from your head to your heart. And so you might have my perspective, but you're having a hard time walking in that place confidently, resting in that place confidently, because it hasn't gone from your head to your heart. You don't trust me with all your heart, daughter. That's how he talked to me, right? Lovingly, but sternly. Do y'all get what I'm saying? So I pray this meets whoever else needed it. Because I'm saying I don't know who it's for. I know it was for me, but I know I'm supposed to share it. Okay? So the prayers are different. Still on a proverb a day, loving it. But when you get tired and you truly surrender and submit, and you start praying different. Whatever it is we got to do, help me. Whatever part of the process I'm still trying to run from, help me. Help me surrender. Help me submit, God. Help me. Help me. Okay? So, he answering your prayers. He is. He's always answering our prayers. He's a good God. He's a good God. Yes and amen. If it's like, no, it's not for you. We passed that, right? Like, we know that. Like, if he's saying no, I don't need it. And if it's not yet, it's because his timing is perfect and there's different things that he's doing. Okay? I know I'm standing in an answered prayer right now. And it took time. And if I'm being even more honest, looking back, because of how fast he threw me into it, it's like, you know what? I would have did way more with that time. I spent too much time mad, God. That's a lesson learned for the next thing, the next test of your faith, the next thing you got to walk through. Okay? The only way out is through. So I had to start praying that, God, please help me through this. I don't want to run away. Help me through it. Help me through it. Okay? So, love y'all. See y'all in the next one.